Hello and welcome to another episode of iFix Old Stuff. Today we're looking at a 1961 Wurlitzer 2504 Jukebox. I received this week. Plays 104 different selections from 45s. And let's take a look around the machine. Let's take a look at the back for a second. I can show you some of the different parts I've discovered so far. As we roll around to the back of the machine here, we'll start with the top piece, which is called the carousel. That's what holds your 45s and provides the grabber to load that specific 45 up into the mechanism. And here in the bottom, what we're seeing is the actual memory of the jukebox. This is how selected songs are written into memory and then read out, and then the carousel selects the appropriate record to play. Currently, I have the power amp section out onto the bench. I have to replace the power cord before I can even try the machine. The power cord is in severe disarray. On this side of the machine, we see the rest of the power supply and the coin mechanism, and in the rear you can see one of the large woofers. So hopefully you'll stick around for this repair. This is part one in this series where we're actually going to try to get the machine fired up and see if we can get any sort of action out of it. So stay tuned, and if you like this content, always please like and subscribe. Let's get started. Okay, so I've got the power amp up on the bench here. Just wanted to show you something very interesting. Here's the power cord here that comes through this grommet and through the chassis here. And we've got our black and white wire, which I'm going to install a ground wire as well. But if you notice here, this is actually just crumbling away in my hands. I've never seen that before. That's quite interesting. So I'm going to have to go through and make sure that any wire that is of that type, I'm going to have to make sure that none of it is cracking, because if it cracks, of course, as we can see, there's a power wire running here, probably over to a power switch or transformer. And if that was cracking, of course, it would arc against the chassis, so that's no good. But I fix old stuff indeed. This is quite an interesting looking piece inside. Interesting here that they've, for something that's early 60s, they've actually used a circuit board for the preamp section. Well, actually, no, is it the preamp or the power amp? Let's take a look. Hold still. Oh, so that'd be the preamp section, and it's interesting here, it kind of floats, as you can see there. It's kind of neat. So that probably reduced microphonics. Jukeboxes were made to do two things. They're made to take your money and not skip. So that's probably that mounting system. As you can see, it's kind of floating here. Probably helps with shock absorption and things like that. And so if you had a microphonic tube, if somebody was dancing near the machine, it would ring. So that's probably why they did that. So it's going to be a fun machine to fix, that's for sure. So I'll keep shooting some video as I find new things to work on here. Just wanted to point something out here. This power amp section here has what you call an auxiliary outlet. This would probably be for the operator to be able to plug in a soldering iron or something to be able to fix a specific problem on location, and I'm going to eliminate that. What I'm going to do here, I'll just show you. These are not safe because they're not polarized or three-prong, so I think it's probably best to eliminate that. I'm not going to take it out, I just won't wire it in. What I can do here, if I can give you a shot, is I'll connect the white wire. I'll use it as a junction, but the black wire, I'm going to go right to the fuse. I'm not going to go to this auxiliary outlet. I'm going to eliminate that black wire, so then it's safe if somebody ever plugged into it for some reason. Okay, so now I've got this part of the power cord installed, and I've added a ground wire. The original design did not have a ground wire, and that's not safe. So we've added a ground wire, and all you do is you just add a ring terminal, and then you go to one of your transformer bolts. That's the easiest way to do it. Okay, and then I've used the auxiliary plug socket as a terminal for my white, and the black is going right to the fuse, and I've eliminated the black wire, the hot wire, to that auxiliary socket, as I was saying. Okay, so that's a bit safer now. Okay, so now we're going to do the other end. I hate these strain relief things. I really despise those things. They're impossible. But we got it on there. So I'm going to put the other end on, and then we'll reinstall and see what happens. Okay, I've got the power cord installed. I just thought we'd do a quick little overview here of the tube complement. So for the preamp section, we've got 7025, which is a 12AX7, a 12AU7, and then another 12AX7 in that section there. So that's your preamp and your phase inverter. Then this is interesting here, 6973, sorry. I've never worked with those before, but I did some research. They're like a little higher power EL84. So, and these are available now. Electro-Harmonics actually sells some of these, so that's good. We're in Canada though, so it becomes a little more expensive. But one thing I didn't like is, as you can see, these type of connectors here, this power connector, it's polarized. It has a notch, so it's very easy to figure out which way the plug goes in. But the one that I took out, see if I can find it here for you. This one here, the muting circuit. So what happens is when the record it stops playing, it mutes the power amp section, so it's not running all the time. Because of course, you know, if people bumped into the machine or whatever, that vibration would go through the needle and be amplified. So you don't want that. But this is not polarized at all, not that I can tell. Anyways, there are some numbers on it. So that's a bit frustrating. It's a dumb design. So I'm going to have to go through and label the plug so that it gets plugged in the same way every time, because I'm pretty sure that I'm going to have this apart multiple times to get everything working. So, and we've got a bass and a treble control. And then remote loudness, what that's for is a remote volume control. So you could have a wire running maybe behind the bar, so you can control the volume. And probably that remote loudness, I know on my Rockola jukebox, the optional remote has a reject switch. So if morons playing the same song 10 times in a row, you can go over and reject it. Or if the record started skipping, that's another handy thing to have without having to get out from behind the bar and hit the reject switch. So it's kind of neat. Then that's your two output transformers there. So I would say this is probably 20 to 24 watts a side, I think, with that tube complement. So, and then we've got our various switches for setting it up for different speaker configurations. And then there's a power switch. And the loudness, depending on the volume that you're setting it at, that is probably a bass and treble boost. Good. Okay, I'm going to put it back in. Let's see what happens. Well, turn it on and it works. I don't know what's going on with that record. It seems to be... Oh, it's warped. That would do it. I don't know if you can see it there. Let me get in there. It just kind of started up and fired that record in. I don't know if that was sitting in the right out section or not, but oh, that record's seen better days. Huh. Well, that's pretty interesting. Tube amp, fire it up. Tubes are glowing. That's good. Let's try rejecting one and see what happens here. I guess it's not a reject. I don't know what that is. Well, maybe that's a credit button. Somebody's probably wired in. That's exactly what that is. Somebody's wired in a credit button up there. Let's see where the reject switch is. It's actually quite, this actually sounds better than my Rockola, I think. Even though that record doesn't sound really good, but sorry. I've just taken off the cover here to show everybody the inside. So interesting design that the record actually goes in vertically like that. As opposed to like the Rockola that I have where the record goes in horizontally. So that's your carousel. The carousel doesn't seem to be turning because it keeps playing the same Madonna record. And I don't mind Madonna and all, but I'd like to hear something else. So I also haven't been able to find the reject switch yet. Maybe it doesn't have one, I don't know. And then inside here, that's your, for writing in your selections in there. So kind of interesting. It seems to be that the carousel is not turning. Either that or somebody has punched in this Madonna selection 8 or 9 times. So we got to figure out what's going on there. But it's quite interesting. I want to show you something else too. This is, let me just walk over to my shop here. This was actually in the coin selection. It's a bag, like a coin bag instead of a box. That's kind of neat to have. And inside, I'll just walk over to the desk. I'll show you what was inside. Right, so I don't know why there's pennies in there, but an original extra needle. I'm not sure. But that's neat. And then it comes with these little tags here. I'll just walk around and I'll show you. So also too, notice the faux wood grain sides. I love that stuff. That's awesome. So here's I've taken the panels, right? So this is how the operator would change their songs, and then you can actually categorize them by genre, right? So today's top tunes, or classical and old favorites. And then it came with a couple extras, EP show albums. Not sure what that is, and then rhythm and blues. So that's cool. And there's software online. You'll see that you can actually redo these. I redid my Rockola Jukebox. I redid the whole thing. So that's quite cool. So that's what we're at so far. I'm not sure where to go next for this. I'm going to have to just sit down and do some reading and go on the forums to see why the carousel is not turning, and to see if I can either wire up or find the reject switch. So I'm a little concerned that Madonna song's been written in a bunch of times. So there you go. That's where I am right now with the jukebox. I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you in the next one. I'm going to keep everybody updated. Please, if you like the content, always like and subscribe. And we'll see you soon on iFix Old Stuff.